All right, will somebody online please let us know that you can hear us loud and clear in the chat, or unmute yourself and let us know. Linda, Sandy, or Mark?
Yes.
All right.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Thank you.
All right.
Take us away.
So I think we've already done 1 or 2 trainings on Moxi. It's definitely still a bit of a learning curve. I think, because we still have Toolkit, we're not necessarily forced to use Moxi, but as the program gets better and better, hopefully it's something that we can transition to. I think basically what we saw online is that this year they're focusing mostly on integration because every Century 21 office is going to end up using Moxi at some point. And then in 2023, they're going to focus on improving the program. So any sort of issues that we have right now, we've already probably talked about, the people at corporate with it, but it's just going to take a little bit of time. But for every issue there is with Moxi, there's also a few great things that things like Toolkit doesn't have. I'll do this every time. One thing that we always do is we can access Moxi in 2 ways. I like the easy way, which is I just go to mymoxi.century21.com. Alternatively, on 21 Online, you can go to the Productivity Hub and look. You can probably also just type in Moxi up here, but I never like all of these, so I just do Menu, Productivity Hub, and then I scroll all the way down to where it says Moxi. It doesn't matter which one you press because it's always going to send you to the Moxi homepage, which I'll show here in a second. And mine might look a little bit different because I have admin access, but basically this is what your home screen looks like. And then up here we have our Present, Engage, Website, and Impress. And then you also have Promote. We can go over each one at some point, but basically Present is your tool for CMAs. Engage is your customer relationship management tool. This is where your online leads will syndicate if everything goes properly. I can't see your screen.
Make sure you hit the share.
I did not share.
There you go.
Thank you for reminding me. So yeah, when we're on this website here, we can have Present, which is our toolkit, basically our replacement. Then we have Engage, which is our CRM. Your Moxi leads should go in here. If you have your phone contacts set up to sync with your Gmail contacts, those will also populate in here, and you can also create contacts whenever. Then you have your website tool. You can create your own website. I mean, this isn't like you need to code or anything. Basically, there's a couple options that you can press. You can click on them, and it guides you through the whole process. So if you think I can't create a website, I encourage you to try it out. Impress is for things like flyers, postcards, social media posts. It auto-populates based on your listings. And then Promote, I believe, is to put things on, Facebook marketing, Google Ads, AdWords, things like that. What we're going to go over today is Present, which again, as I was saying, is kind of our CMA replacement. Again, it's going to be a little bit different than Toolkit, but at its core, it's pretty similar. So I did a few, and I just kind of wanted to show you what it looks like. This first one I did here is an actual real CMA that I did. So I'm going to take you through that one first, and I'm just going to show you the presentation if it'll. Why is it not? Let's click on it this way. Yeah. So actually here it'll create my seller presentation. So we have basically still the opportunity to print out a PDF version of our CMA, bind it, do whatever we want with it. It is going to look a little bit different, but it's mostly going to look similar. If you have an opportunity to bring something like an iPad or a laptop, or you're going to email the CMA, I would highly recommend doing it through Present, and here's why. If you have your presentation, and you send it through email as a PDF, they basically just look at this PDF through their phone or computer or whatever. But what's really nice about this is a really interactive, service plan, you could call it, where literally we see here the house, and then if someone says, I want to know more about why you chose this house right here, I can click on the actual house, it pops it up, it shows me everything, and then I can go through the pictures. For instance, this house is the exact same floor plan as the house that I will be listing. So basically here we can just see this is exactly why I chose this house. And then we can see here, this one did not have a pool, so I adjusted for that. This is the price per square foot and basically all of those. And you can back out. And so this way it looks a lot more professional, right? Because if you are in that presentation and you have your piece of paper and you see here, oh yeah, here's 5683 West Hunters Ridge Court or Circle. And then it's like, well, I mean, what do I, how do I know that this is the right house? I then have to go back and I have to look up every single house on Zillow and make sure that it's similar to mine, whereas now I can show you exactly what this looks like. So then we scroll all the way through, it shows you everything. And then now we go to home average, and these are all editable pages. You can add or delete these as you'd like. But basically now this is where we get to the same presentation as we did before.
Can I interject real quick?
Yeah.
In the room here, how many of you guys have ever used a tablet for your presentation or thought about it? 1, 2, 3. Okay. One thing Tom and I were talking about, this looks really, really good on a tablet. I think a lot better than the CMA Toolkit tablet presentation. And again, it's a lot more interactive. I don't know if Tom showed you, you can click on like the house for your comparables, go through the pictures and all that stuff. So it's personally, I think a lot better, and it's even one step better on a tablet, in my opinion. I know even Tom was saying he might go buy one just to use this feature on a tablet. So something to think about. If you like presentations that way, I definitely encourage you guys to give it a shot. Linda's top middle.
All right, so yeah, then basically everything else is the same. Alternatively, what we can also do is if I just, we can keep going through it all, but basically this is all the same pages that you're all used to from Toolkit. My promise to you, I think there's a total of 400 different pages that you can add or delete, so you can customize this any way you want. You can also still, show it as a PDF. And so I'll basically show you if you go back to your editing button and you just hit view and you do print portrait, it'll still basically make, your boundable PDF version of, your presentation. The biggest thing that I don't like about this specific one is on the Toolkit CMA, it'll actually show you the actual adjustments you did if you add that page. I don't believe there's an option that shows the exact changes that you made to your CMA.
Yes, there is.
You found a way. You have a page for that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Oh, yeah, never mind. Total adjustments.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's right there.
Well, the adjusted prices are there. I just mean like you don't see exactly like I took off this for this and this for that. You can also
If you
see
look
that.
if you look on the individual homes that your comps,
Okay.
then it'll show, because if you click where you showed click on the picture, show the details. There's also it will also show the adjustments. Like I did mine on year built, square footage, all of that, and it literally shows my takeoffs for each one of them.
On the PDF version as well when you print it out?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's great then. So that's good. I think for mine, just because I wanted to keep it a little bit shorter because these people really didn't want to read. They just wanted to know the price. I might have taken that page out, but that is, again, you have some like 350 pages to add. And, then there's all these different ways that you can show why you think you came to this value. Another thing that I did, and what we're going to do after this is we're going to do an actual CMA from the start just so we can kind of all see the process. But another thing that we can do is basically here, they have this thing called a buyer tour. So for instance, if you say, you get on the phone with someone and you say, hey, I want to look at these 6 homes. Then what you can do is you can create a buyer tour, and it kind of creates a CMA type presentation, except as a buyer tour. So, feel free to look at it kind of as you go through. But I'll also show it on here as a presentation. But basically, it just creates this small tour, and instead of just sending that ugly MLS sheet, it kind of creates this nice little folder presentation, and the people can actually give a star rating and put notes on every single listing, and then they can hand it back to you so that you kind of have a better idea of like, hey, this is what I like and what I don't like. So again, if you're doing the web presentation, because I guess sometimes people do come in and they say, you know, hey, I want to look at some houses with you. You can also find these on Moxi. For a search tool, for now, I would still recommend using Matrix. But then the nice thing is you don't have to import it and do all those different things. Then when you get to your listing part, you can literally just type in the addresses or MLS numbers and add them that way. So I just clicked these random homes here, you know, pretending that this was Dame Judi Dench wanting to look at these 6 houses in Inverness, Florida. So I see here, and I'll get this a little bit further to the bottom, you can update the order in which you want to do into when you're editing, and it'll actually give a little list of where you want to go. And the way I used it is I just clicked on those 6 random listings, and without like in my head thinking, oh gosh, which one do I go to first? I just clicked them all, looked at the map, and then I updated it as I saw that it was probably the most reasonable and logical way to get to where we needed to go. And so basically there's listing overview. If you have someone in the office with you, you can go, hey, I thought this house was nice. Click on it, pulls it up, gives you all the information, tax year, HOA, MLS, area, garage, days on market, things like that.
That's nice because when you're showing them buyer houses and they're like, you're at a house and then they're like, well, what about that other one? Then you have to stop and pull up the MLS or you have to have it printed and then you're like trying to flip flop back and forth.
And on the printed presentation too, you can edit like how many pictures you want. You can do 0 pictures. If you want to just go through all your paper, you can do every single picture for every single listing. And so there's so many different ways to customize this. And then you can even like add reviews and stuff. So these are different ways that you can, you know, kind of interact with buyers in different ways. I don't think you're going to have very many situations where someone comes into the office and you show them these because you'll probably say, hey, let's look at some houses together in the office. You're not going to put them into Moxi afterwards. But if you have a situation where someone's like, hey, I want to see these 5 homes, I would recommend putting them in Moxi, doing one of these buyer presentations and printing it out, because this looks a lot nicer than just handing them those like ugly looking MLS sheets. Yeah, and you can email it to them as well. So yeah, that's basically what MoxiPresent is. It's very similar to Toolkit in a lot of ways. I think the biggest difference positively is that it's directly integrated with MLS. So realistically, if you really wanted to, you could do your search completely through here. It actually recommends some homes when you start doing your CMA. But the biggest downturn for now is that you don't get that Excel-like sheet where you can just work across and do your adjustments that way. It's not the end of the world. It's just, you know, sometimes you might forget. So it's always useful to remember, what do we always adjust for? You know, year built, square footage, acreage, you know, is there a pool? Like, what's the size of the garage? Roof, you know, anything else, quality of construction, some people even do. But yeah, so this is kind of what I wanted to show you in terms of what I've already done and how you can use it, which I think is better than Toolkit CMA, is how interactive this is. I think definitely if you're going to take a buyer out on some showings, I would highly recommend doing this.
Here. This is Rachel.
Real quick before you get started doing your actual CMA thing, for those of you guys that are not using Toolkit and or Moxi, and you're using Matrix, shame on, no, I'm just kidding. My input on that is just everybody in the county has access to Matrix. So anybody doing a CMA in Matrix, it looks pretty much exactly the same. You can change your little banner up top, and yes, your name is different, but overall, the Matrix CMA looks the same when we do it, when Remax does it, when ERA does it, when Tropic Shores does it, when Keller Williams does it. Like, same thing, same format, same presentation and whatnot. So if you are competing with another brokerage and your presentations look exactly the same, it definitely doesn't stick out. And I will tell you, the guy that just has the biggest number on the last page is probably going to be remembered. If you do something like this, Toolkit and or Moxi, again, it sets you aside The format's different. It looks better. Again, you have the ability to do a tablet presentation. So that's just another place where you can stand out a little bit. People can remember you, Century 21, so on and so forth. So I would encourage you, if you are doing Matrix CMAs, to go ahead and start the shift now. If I had to tell you which one to use, I would probably tell you to go ahead and just get on board with Moxi. Like I said, I don't know how long we're going to keep Toolkit. The idea is right now until everybody feels comfortable with Moxi, and then go from there. And 2023, I've been told by the Moxi engineers, or the Century 21 engineers that work with Moxi, they want to fix that adjustment, saying they've heard us loud and clear. Right now, again, they're just making sure everybody has access. All the MLSs are integrated into Moxi, so on and so forth. So to me, Moxi is better in every single way except the adjustments thing, and I've been told that they're going to work on that. So again, if you're going to pick one to learn right now, I would choose Moxi.
The adjustment thing ain't that bad.
It isn't. It's just, you have to just kind of remember, instead of having like the whole laundry list of things, you just kind of have to remember. But that's basically the only thing.
Yeah, it's a few more clicks than anything. Obviously, you don't have it on one. You have to add adjustment, type it in, do it, add adjustment, type it in, do it, add
Right, but if you use the cheat sheet,
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
Yep.
then it's the same adjustments in the same row, in the same order
Yeah.
on each column.
I'm probably talking it up too much, so it sounds miserable, so I should probably just not say it.
It's not that bad. You
No.
just type it in and put your adjustment in and call it good.
All right, Tom.
All right.
Show us from start to finish. Who's speaking?
Moto Z4.
I think it's Judy.
I think it is.
Yes, I wanted to ask Lisa a question. Lisa, do you have a cheat sheet that is organized in the format of Moxi?
Yeah, I just use Wayne's.
Oh, it's the same. Okay.
The adjustments
Yes.
page that he gives us for CMA that shows, year built 1%. Square footage, high end, medium, low end. I just use that. And by
Okay, great.
doing
Thank
that,
you.
I just literally go down the list.
Who needs my cheat sheet right now in the room? Raise your hand.
Is that what you've been hanging in the,
Yeah.
or break room?
Yep. Does anyone have any questions about what we covered so far? Basically, I know that I'm going through it pretty quickly, just because I'm very familiar with the program. I know I struggle with that sometimes. Is I just click through everything because I realize I understand it, but a lot of people need that extra bit of time to go through things. So no questions so far? Okay, perfect. We'll wait for Wayne to get back with some of those cheat sheets, and then from there, we'll start a fresh presentation. Does anyone have a house that they're like, I need to do a CMA on this right now? Is there anyone who has any sort of interest? Because we can just do it from here together. Anyone?
Maybe a low-end house?
Yeah, absolutely. Do they have easy comps?
I think it would.
Okay.
Starting to get. It is
And have you been inside and everything?
8141 East Sunray Lane, Coral City.
And can you tell us a little bit about it? Is it like a mobile, single family?
Double wide mobile, it's got like a red brick facade, it's on about an acre, in zone X, but it's got water behind it. Metal roof,
What kind of water?
I think it's more of like a pond, I'm not really quite sure.
I think Luke had one listed on that same pond. It's
Sunray, it's, you make a right off of, 41.
Hey, Mike, you want your chair back?
Oh, no, you're good.
I didn't know you were here. I knew one of you was here.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's just like a pond.
It is landlocked though, if I remember Sunray. Yeah. Okay. All right. So basically, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pretend that we all went inside. How does it look on the inside?
They redid it, newer floors, paint, it's an older place, it's a 73, but it's,
Okay.
you know.
Perfect. Okay, so we all went inside of 8141 East Sunray Lane. We met the sellers, very nice people, I think. And now we're going to go back to the office and we're going to do our CMA. So basically, what you can do, and I still recommend just using the MLS, is literally if we create a presentation, I'm just going to create a new one, and we're going to do seller, and then
That's a window.
what's that? Okay. So basically, we have our. I'm gonna do as if you guys haven't even seen all of this stuff. Basically, I have my own 12-page template, but the original one, you have the 41 pages, the 35 pages, the 60 pages, the 55 pages. So I'm gonna start with the one that's the 56 pages, and then we can also go back to there. You can even do a Spanish version. I know we don't have many Spanish-speaking agents in the office, but if you speak Spanish and you have a Spanish client, that might be something that you're interested in. We're going to prepare this I'm going to prepare it for Laura, but, we would usually prepare this for the sellers. All right, so I'm going to create my presentation. It always takes a little.
But
Now, if you have in the past seen this listing on MLS, you can pull some data directly from MLS. So let's say this house was sold 3 years ago. I can type in that exact MLS number and it'll pull up some of the information. Now, especially if it's not listed by us, please verify all information. But just in general, you should always, make sure that all the information on here is correct. So what we're going to do, it's 8141, right?
Mm-hmm. 8141 Sunray.
Yep. So we're just going to start, with our subject property, 8141 East Sunray Lane in Floral City, Florida. No idea.
36.
34.26.
Okay.
We only have one zip code in Floral City.
You can put everything else in, like the MLS area, the senior, if it's a senior community, the subdivision, building name, school district, elementary school, middle school, high school. You can put all these things in if you'd like. But again, for an adjustment, I don't think a house is going to be worth more because you go to a different elementary school, maybe to some people, but not value-wise. Yeah. The property type here, we can do a single family, condo co-op, townhouse, farm and ranch, manufactured. So I guess we're going to call this a manufactured. And then let's see, let's go back to the information. Again, we would know what it's like, but is this a 2?
It's actually a 3-2.
3-2, okay. So that's why we always want to go, and we don't just want to do a CMA presentation before we walk inside a home, because you could have been doing adjustments for 2-1 and then say, oh, I think your house is worth, $180,000. And then it's like, you walk inside and you're like, oh crap, I completely did it wrong. They said it was 3-2.
You're driving me crazy.
We stole a seat.
No, I did. That's why he's driving me crazy. Thank you. Thank you.
Hang on just a second.
Oh yeah, cord.
Yeah, cords, okay.
Sorry, man.
Perfect. A little, and then do you know if this is correct?
Yeah, square footage.
Okay.
The 1344, a little low. I don't know if that's correct because it's got a large back porch.
Okay.
This is a mobile home?
Yeah, and actually it's an expired, so you could probably pull it up.
Okay. Real quick on that, just so, because it's something that just recently happened. A lot of times the property appraiser's square footage is based on exterior measurements, especially with mobile homes. If it's 20 feet wide and 48 feet long, they multiply those two together and boom, that's their living square footage. In reality, obviously, you're losing some square footage because the outside of the wall and the inside of the wall are not the same measurement. So we did have an interesting conversation with an agent from out of this area that is not used to that situation, that tried to basically say we're false advertising something, and you can kind of see where that went. So ultimately, remember, the property appraisers typically never goes inside of a house unless they are requested to change square footage or anything like that. When they do their assessments and whatnot, it's based on building plans and then exterior things. So they are not walking into each room with the measuring tape or the laser measuring out those numbers. So just for you all to know, if you have an agent that maybe is not from this county and is starting to ask questions like this, the property appraiser record uses exterior measurements.
And is that not correct? Because when you look at building plans, they're not interior
Correct.
measurements, they're exterior
Right,
measurements.
right. Well,
So
it's correct for Citrus County. Whether Miami Broward County uses interior measurements and they have someone go in, that I can't speak for. This was just a scenario where we had to educate an out-of-area agent on the way Citrus County does it.
Maybe we ought to note that then.
That's what I'm making.
Exterior measurements, I mean, in the listing.
Also, you're kind of protected because it asks you, when you're putting your information, was it from public information? Was it
Yeah.
From the seller? Was
Right.
it you?
Yep.
So as you mentioned, this isn't expired. So I literally just clicked in the MLS number here and it populated everything, including the picture. Couple things to know when you do this. Again, always want to confirm everything. And another thing that we want to do here is like this, these are the public remarks. We don't need that. We don't need this because, we didn't have this price and sale. And then finally, technically this is not our picture to use. I mean, we're giving this as a paper copy, but just to protect yourself that extra step, if you have your own picture, you can import it. Or if you just go to the property appraiser and you click the photos, hopefully there's, a somewhat reasonable photo of the house. It looks like, oh boy.
Well, I'm going to reaffirm, Tom, here. Don't use the photo from MLS at all if it is not yours, period. We had an agent that had to pay a $500, we'll call it fine, for using someone else's picture.
In a CMA,
No, not in a CMA.
I'm thinking, holy,
But regardless, doesn't matter. They used it in a postcard and then it got back to the agent and now we had an issue, right?
Okay.
Don't use them at all. They're not yours.
right.
I mean,
It wasn't the agent, it was a photographer.
no,
Right,
we're
but-
thinking of a different story.
Okay, well, then we've had two instances.
All right, but anyway, so we have all our stuff here. It talks about our tax year, tax amount, year billed, Citrus County, HOA dues. So it populates it all for you. Again, double check everything if you're going to do it from somewhere else. But basically, we've done our first part now. So now I'm going to hit continue. And from here, it's going to do our search. So this is what I talked about where it'll try to find some comparable houses. So we look at 7997 East Sunray Lane. That's actually closing that Luke had. We can probably add that one. I'm going to just double check. But this is why I always make sure that I am not doing it through Moxi and then I'm still doing it through Matrix because I want to make sure that I find proper comparables that I can find. For the purpose of today, we're going to go a little bit quicker than usual, but we're going to look at closed Floral City mobile homes, and then we'll try to see how many we get if we do. Where's mobile?
Did you do cross property or did you do?
Oh, I did do cross property. Closed mobile in Floral City.
Make sure you take active off.
Yep. Alright, and then we'll see if we can find some that's like.
Is this one on the water?
On a landlocked.
You can't call that water.
I didn't, yeah, I was making sure.
Yeah.
Don't do
yeah.
waterfront. It's land on pond.
I agree, because that's where Luke had that as well, yeah. So let's just, look through this really quickly, see if we can find anything. This one looks a little too nice.
Laura, you be our yay and nay.
Yeah.
Then,
Is this one good? Is this one good?
yeah. Price the
But that one's
whatever.
on there.
Maybe just in case, I'll do waterfront none.
Yeah, because that one was on there.
Yeah, that, you compare that.
Yeah,
to water.
Correct. All right, so let's start over. So, all right, is this one decent?
Isn't that the same one we just looked at?
No, this is the second.
Yeah, I think that one's serious.
This one's decent? Okay, perfect. All right, how about this one?
It's nicer than this one, but
We'll use it today. Yeah, this one looks decent too.
yeah, that one looks nicer too.
This one's also 5 acres. Let's leave this one alone. Okay, this one's also on an acre. Let's just use this one. Sure. And again, For an exact one, we probably want to look a little bit closer, but just for the purpose of today's training, we're not going to look at houses for half an hour. We're going to look at how to do a CMA. So, okay, I have 4 checked. Let's just say that's enough. So, and I have that one on Sunray that we didn't even include in this search. So basically what I do now is I go back to my Moxi and I see 5205 South Florence Terrace. So I literally just start typing in 5205 South Florence Terrace. Click on it. Oh, where'd it go? Or alternatively, I can just type in the MLS number here. And then I see the MLS number was A14947. So I just do 814947 and I hit search and I see South Florence Terrace. I add it. I go over to my next one, which is A13650, which is still, it's a little bit simpler than like having to like click them all, then hit the export, then find them in your files and add them in. And I honestly, when I was doing my actual CMA, there was one house that my criteria basically ruled out this one house that was the exact. What?
Yeah.
Oh, the 1332.
Oh no, he was typing in the answer.
I was.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So yeah, and this is why sometimes I have a little bit of trouble finding it too. But I don't know why it does this sometimes.
It did it to me too.
Yeah, like there's just 1 or 2 houses that I just haven't been able to find on here. I'm just gonna hit search again.
Wonder if you try the address.
Let's just zoom out all the way. No, see this? Yeah, what if I try the address?
You can copy and paste the address.
Okay, nope,
No, didn't like it either.
but I think we did do this one, so. Or we can just replace it with that one for today's purpose. And that's the only thing that I have had 1 or 2 issues with. You said you had that as well,
Yeah, I
right?
had to manually input it.
Yeah, there were like
Because it
one.
was like an exact match.
Yeah, there were like
Come
1 or 2 houses that for some reason don't show up. And
Yeah, if you guys have that, send them to me because I will forward them on to the engineering team. Because again, this is currently like things that they're working on is MLS integration stuff.
Yeah.
So anytime you have something like that, please send them to me.
so now we have our 5 listings that we chose. Again, usually we want to be a little bit more,
Due diligent on picking your guns.
Yes. But basically now this is where we get to our adjustments page. If you ever are like, man, I forget what this house looks like, you can literally click on it and it does the exact same thing. It pulls up everything for you. And so basically the first thing we can do is we can look at the square footage on this, which is 1512, ours is 1344. So the very first adjustment we're going to make is, if I can find the calculator, is let's start with square footage.
This is where you got real quick. This is where Lisa was saying she follows this sheet
Right.
with the adjustment. You guys can literally do it in any order that you see fit.
Keep clicking.
So this is where Lisa's first adjustment just follows this sheet. She starts with land, then depreciation, then if it's pool, then attached garage, detached boat. No, she just follows it. The order does not matter to Moxi because you are adding that adjustment individually. So whatever order you want to do it, you can do it.
Yeah, but I'm one of those OCD ones. If I do it in this order on this house, I'm
Right.
gonna have to do it the same order on every house. It makes it easy.
So let's do this. Let's look at the original property, which I guess we can look at the expired for that one. So we all kind of have an idea what it looks like.
Could we make this or have to make this like almost like a chart for us to fill in our own adjustments and then we can go in and just put a total adjustment for each house instead of, well, I guess so you'd want to type in your add adjustments so you can see to show
When
the
you say
person what you adjust.
Chart, you mean like something you
Well,
can fill in as you're there,
As we're working on it,
right?
Like an
Like
Excel
after-
file.
yeah, kind of, so that when we're doing it, we don't have to keep going back to that one paper. You can have we can have all of our stuff that we adjust for on the left, and then all the houses going over like it was on Moxi, the
Right.
CMA
Basically, you
toolkit.
just want a printed out version of that sheet.
Right, so that we can work on it, and then we could go back in at once and type in all the adjustments at once. I think that'd be faster. Right, because when you jump back and forth, even on the CMA toolkit, that's a lot of work. 'Cause
Right. Right, yeah.
It would probably be helpful.
Absolutely.
I don't know who that was, but I love her.
Oh, the one that we took.
That was
later
great,
too.
Judy.
So,
I can probably make an Excel.
Yeah, we can, absolutely.
So, basically, we pretend that we've been in this house again, right? So if we had to give this an effective age, yeah. So if you had to give this like an effective age, what would you say? It's a 1973 mobile, but it's completely redone on the inside.
90 maybe. It's not super nice still on the inside.
Okay. So let's say we say that this is like a 1995
Yeah, I mean,
house, and then we're gonna look at our.
That don't know what we just did real quick, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna explain adjustments here real quick. So we're talking about year builds. And when we do year builds, we have two ways to look at it. Actual age, meaning it was built in 1975, we're calling it 1975. The comp was built in 1985, we're calling it 1985. That would be using its actual age. On the flip side, what Tom is doing is using its effective age because there were improvements made to potentially make it seem like a newer house. Most of us in today's market are going to probably want to start using effective age because I don't know how many original 1970 houses there even are in the county anymore. Most things have been updated in some way, shape, or form. So to compensate for that, instead of it being in 1975, we're saying it's a 1995. The floors have been redone, the bathrooms have been redone, the kitchen, whatever the case may be. With that being said, there are still some original 1975 things. Your foundations may still be original. Your concrete block, if it's a single family house, may still be, or the frame, trusses, yada, yada. There are still things. So I can't just say it was remodeled in 2020, so it's now a 2020 house. You can't make that full leap because there are still original things in that house that are old. So this is where the art of appraising or, comparative market analysis comes in. A lot of people say, do you have like a rule of thumb that you strictly follow? Not really. You basically have to go in and understand when those updates were done and what were they that were done to determine that effective age over actual age. So everybody clear on the difference between actual and effective age?
So let's say that's in 1995. This first comparable we have here was built in 2002. It looks pretty much original. Looks a tiny little bit nicer inside, I guess, for being original, and it does have a tiny pool that we can add some value for. So the first thing we're going to do is, and this is a big change for me too, because I'm used to just doing like year build adjustment on every single house, but I'm just going to work one house at a time now. We're just going to go down. So I'm going to add or edit an adjustment. The first one I'm going to do is depreciation or year built. We say this one is 7 years newer, so the comp is better, so we're going to subtract. Basically on mobile homes, let's do, just for the simplicity, let's do 2% per year. So basically we're going to do, 0.14 times 266,500.
37,310.
Okay, so we're basically going to take off 37,310. Yeah, sorry. So we're going to do years built, negative 37,310.
People are gonna think that's weird. They're gonna be like, he watches TV and he really likes to see.
We have our first adjustment. Cool?
Yes.
Okay.
What was the difference in your ears? How many?
We put 7, and since it's mobile, just for simplicity, we did 2% per year. And so we said that, we're going to take off this much. Okay, then our next adjustment is going to be acreage. So this one is 0.3 acres smaller, and we're going to do, what would you say, Felicity, like 15,000 per acre? 20,000 per acre?
Let's do 15.
15? So this one is not as big, so we're going to do acreage, and we're going to add 4,500. We can see here that this is 1,512 square foot. This one's 1,344. How much would you adjust for mobile?
Let's do $35.
Yeah.
5880.
So this one is bigger, so we're going to subtract 58. Oh, no. Square footage. You said 5880?
Yep.
Negative 5880. Okay.
So the numbers that we're pulling, obviously, we're getting these things from this cheat sheet. The cheat sheet is guidelines. Take them And when you know, one thing I always say, like I put on the bathrooms, a standard full bath, 7,500, a half bath, 4,000. If the bathroom that you're adjusting by is a massive with walk-in shower, dual shower heads, heated floors, jacuzzi tub, the works, you can add a little bit more than $7,500 or take away 70, whichever way you're going. So just again, understand this is a guideline system. I tried to use kind of your average numbers throughout. Again, this is some art, some science. So there is definitely, and this is why at the end of the day, we always have a range, right? It gives you a range for a reason. It doesn't give you $452,736.73 is what your house is worth.
To do that.
I know it can, but I'm saying the reason we give a range is to give ourselves a little bit of leeway here on some of the things we do.
Wayne, will you put a disclaimer on this? Say these are estimates only, because just what you're saying is, this is not gospel. This is just a
Right,
general.
right. Yeah. This should never get into the hands of a customer, by the way.
We could go to court and lose.
This is not a customer document.
And then this one, yours doesn't have a pool, does it at all, Laura? No. Okay, this one has a tiny above ground pool. What would we add for that?
Do 10 grand.
Yeah, 10 grand.
Wait a minute, that was a bubble pool. That was a
Yeah, I would never-
rubber liner pool. That wasn't more than 3,000, 3,500.
You wouldn't give any money for that?
Some people hate them and some people love them.
It's above ground plastic pool. or whatever you-
It is built into a deck.
Yeah, I thought it was a deck with a real pool, but if it's an above ground one, I didn't pay attention to the picture.
This is where the chart would be nice, because then you can do all your adjustments and then type them all in at once.
Right.
That would be a lot easier.
There's the
Yeah.
pool right
Yeah,
there.
okay, yeah, it's not, I mean, there's a deck, but
That's
it's,
$3,500.
Okay.
It's used.
Then we'll add 3,500 instead. So then we'll just do pool.
So wouldn't the deck be similar to their large back porch that's covered?
If you think that, and that's the thing, if you
In
think,
my mind, that would,
The deck is $10 a square foot.
right, but I'm saying the house that we're working on also has a very large back deck that's covered.
then we'll just call it a wash. We'll just call it a wash then.
Yeah.
You mean the pool for the cover?
No, the deck.
deck for a deck is what she's saying. The wood deck for the back deck.
That's-
So,
Yeah, it's scaring the hell out of me.
yeah, let me,
Like, no one's philosophy would be amazing.
Please don't call this gospel.
this is one thing I want you guys to understand when we do this too. There's, again, different senses of the way to do this. If you want to break everything out individually, we absolutely can. We can say, Laura's subject property does not have a pool and or a deck, so we're going to remove. However, another line item is going to be the back porch, or I don't remember what you're calling it, which is a
Right.
deck. So we're going to add back for that, and you can break everything out line by line. Or again, you can do things like we're going to basically jump these together. I know when it comes to garages and like outbuildings, a lot of times we like to put all the outbuildings together, whether it's a pole barn, a detached garage, and or a shed. We'll combine all those for a value of $10,000, and then it's going to be, well, mine doesn't have any of it, so it's plus 10,000 or minus 10,000. This one only has one that's worth 2,000, so now we're at $8,000. So again, there's not just a single the only way to do it. I think that's going to be up to you guys as agents who have been there and seen it. If it is similar enough, and again, like Laura's saying, there is a deck out back. This has a deck out back. We're going to call it similar enough to do that adjustment. So each agent, you guys are going to have to, again, at the end of the day, make that call of, do you want to line item it all out, like each thing individual, or do you want to group some things together?
All right. So yeah, basically, again, you can call the wash, or you can take off 3,500 for the pool and then add 3,500 for the deck, or the exact number that you should have. Technically, I think this one doesn't have a tiny little outbuilding. Yours does, but I mean, that's $2,000 maybe. So we'll just say that this one's done. We did our year built, we did our acreage, we did our square footage, our pool, and our deck. There's a carport here, but there's no garage or anything, so we don't have to adjust for square footage and garage. So let's say this first house is done, just for the sake of moving on. Now we go to the second house, and we're going to do the exact same thing. So
You just hit cancel, not confirm.
because I already hit confirm, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, the
There was
first
one more line, so we had to cancel it out. And guys, don't take Tom's adjustments in gospel. What you guys are learning here is how to do the program. If Tom just adjusted for $2,726 for a pool, that doesn't mean you guys need to adjust $2,726 by a pool. Don't pay attention to the actual numbers that he's adjusting by. You have your cheat sheet. I'll do a class on specific adjustments and whatnot. I want you guys to learn how this program works is the focus of today's thing. Because we'll be here all day if we go over how to do each and every one of the adjustments and how I think about it and how Jim thinks about it and how you think about it and this, that, and the other. So don't focus on the numbers, focus on how it's being done.
So let's say this one is, also this one's original 1994. We're just going to take off 2% of 215, which should be like 4,500.
Okay.
Oh, I'm
It's 2% of 215,000. It should be like 4,150 or something, or 40.
4,300.
Yeah, 4,300. So we're gonna add, and so here's a nice thing. Once I start typing in year built, it'll actually keep the same exact adjustment that I did before, and I can just click it again. Then we're gonna adjust for square footage. This one's so it would be 1314. Let me just 1344. Yeah.
Minus 1296.
Yeah.
48 times, what are you doing?
45, 16,
35,
80.
16.
So, and we'll see here is that what you said is I accidentally clicked out instead of hitting confirm. So I have to make sure that I double check that, and then I hit confirm when I'm done. I don't click out of it. Then the next thing is this one's 2 acres. So basically it's exactly 1 acre bigger. So we're going to just take off 50. Nope.
Acreage.
Yep, I do this every time. Acreage. And then we're just going to take off 15,000 because it's exactly 1 acre bigger. So we're just going to take off 15,000. And then, if there was anything else like a pool or a deck where there's no deck, we would adjust for that as well. So we hit confirm. We're going to do the exact same with salmon. This house was built in 1999. I mean, if we look at the pictures, if they load, I mean, they're pretty much original. So this one's 4 years newer. So if you want to do 8% of 212,000.
What's the square footage on that one?
16,960.
So negative 16,960 because this one is newer. So we're going to add, the square footage is the exact same and it's about 0.15 acres bigger. So if you can do 0.15 times 15,000.
2250.
So then we can,
Are you taking the land value out or are you adjusting the sale price?
Please, let's not dive into numbers right now.
yeah.
I don't want, again, just so you guys can see this in a finished product, we're putting numbers in.
What'd you say was the number?
But we're not focused on what these numbers are. We're not focused on what this number is actually going to end up. You guys are just seeing how you have to type in the name of the adjustment and then it's a plus or minus.
Right. Then we'll do the same for Bridget Point. I'm just going to click on it real quick just to make sure I know what year it was built. It says it was 1991. Without looking at it, we're going to say it's the exact. So this one is 4 years older. So if we're going to do 8% of 180,000.
Oops. 14,400.
So 14,400. So we got the year built. The acreage on this one is 0.35. So if you just want to do 0.68 times 5,100.
3468.
Gonna add 34 like this.
Mhm.
Okay. So we're gonna add that for acreage. This one is 60 square foot bigger, so 60 times 35.
2100.
So this one is 20. So we got to take off 2100 because this is bigger. And then again, we don't know deck or pool, but let's say pretend it's all the same. We're done with this. And then what it'll also do, and you always want to double check, is it actually starts organizing it by cheapest or most expensive to cheapest. So if you make an adjustment, then out of nowhere the order might change. So always double check that you're doing that correct. And then now finally we have this one. It is, let's see, this one's year built was 1981. Let's look inside. I'm pretty sure this was all original. Yep, that's all original. So, basically just for the sake of year built, I don't think we should do 28%. So let's do like 20%.
Just do an arbitrary number. It's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
just do plus 36,000.
yeah, 36,000. Okay. Then for our square footage, the exact same acreage is 0.7. So if we're going to add acreage, and we're just going to add, like 4,000. And then, basically we go through, these are all our adjustments, and now we have it all. We have our adjusted prices. It kind of tells you everything that we have here. These all look pretty similar to me. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit continue. And then now it's loading, and then it goes boom. This is our estimated market value. This is probably going to be a little bit high because two of the comparables we took are probably a lot nicer than, what we had here. And then we can create a range too. I like to say within 3%. And so now if you want that original kind of how we had it, on Toolkit CMA, now it gives us a range of where we should list.
Real quick, Lisa had asked me kind of standard rule of thumb for ranges. One thing to remember, when the houses are cheaper, the range can be bigger and it's not as drastic. If we do a 5% range and we're talking about a $500,000 house, 5% $500,000, big range, right? So it's a sliding scale here. Don't just say I can do 5% on every single one and I'm good. The other thing, obviously, when we show this to a customer, what number do they all always gravitate to? The higher one. We know that. So make sure your range isn't so astronomical that all they see is the one that's $50,000 more than your actual middle number that they came up with.
They actually see that higher one as a starting point.
Right, yeah. That's the starting point. We're gonna add 25,000, 30,000, 40,000. And yes, sir.
And we go directly to the range area and put in whatever we want.
Yeah.
We have to go.
So on this section, you can change, if you don't like uneven numbers, if you want to do 195 to 250, I mean, you have the ability to change.
Skip all that other stuff, go directly to the.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to do the calculate the percentage. You can just type in your minimum to your maximum to make it exactly how you want.
Lower number.
So now, basically, we've gone through it all, and now here I have my 55 pages. I have my side-by-side comparisons, I have my status comparisons, I have my listing average, and I have everything. Basically, the first time I went through, I got rid of, I think, 40 pages, and I left with 15. When you've done that, that's when you can do this nice thing where at the bottom you can hit save as template, so that next time you can go in, you have it saved and you don't have to worry about having to go through it all again. Some people love these big packets. Good luck running that through the what's it called? Through the...
Better get the help.
Yeah, that's going to need some help. But now that we're done, we have two options, right? So we can email it to someone and they can view it in a web version. And this is going to be a really long presentation because we have 55 pages. So we can view it in a web version. And so basically, we're going to go through this whole thing. We can go, I picked this house because I think it's similar, blah, blah, blah. Look at this, shingles. Your build is very similar to what we think is effective age, blah, 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 blah.
Shingles.
Yeah, shingles are valuable these days. And so then now, basically we go through our whole presentation again. And then at the end, we come to our price. You can also just do the PDF version, print it, bind it, give it to someone. But that is basically all very similar to how Toolkit works, right? I think there's even a tablet presentation on Toolkit, but it's just kind of a wider PDF.
The only thing, if you go back to where you were, you'll see price per acreage. Now, it showed 347,000 per acre for Floral City. We all know that that is not correct.
Yeah.
I did my CMA in the Highlands, and it came out that the price per acre was $1 million. Where is that coming from? I have not figured that out.
The only thing I could think of, I wonder if they have their units mixed up. So they're looking at feet and then acres, because that would obviously, if you take like a price per square foot, and then they've multiplied and they think it's acreage. But again,
That was just, I saw that number and went, what?
Yeah.
What did I do? And realized I didn't do anything. The program just.
And then also, so Brandy did this actually. So before she went on a listing appointment, she did a CMA, but instead of doing any adjustments, she picked like 15 listings that were similar and clicked through. And it's not just going to take the average price of all of them. It does do some of its own calculations. Most of it is really the price per square foot, but it does kind of do its own calculation. So if you ever want to come in and you say, hey, look, these are some comparable properties. This is a quick CMA. Once I've gone through the house, I'm going to go back and do adjustments and get you a full-blown CMA. But that is something that you can also do. So there's different ways to use it.
Hey, Tom, when you do that quick CMA, how many pages does?
I mean, it could be 55.
It'll be, you'll do it as a CMA, but instead of doing like all the adjustments, I would just recommend picking like 20 listings and then just not doing any adjustments and just saying, hey, this is a quick CMA, present it to them, and then say, once I go back to the office, now that I've seen your house and I've met you, I'm going to narrow this down to 4 or 5 very similar properties, do adjustments, and then hand it back to you.
Why would you do
More than
that?
one topic, could you save like a quick CMA?
Yep.
That's just
I think that's
three
wrong.
pages?
You're giving someone a quick CMA and then you come back and adjust, they're gonna look at the first price.
Correct, but there are some
would you
people who
do
like doing that.
So just like what we did yesterday with the investors, we're showing them what has happened in the area. We're not actually giving them a specific price that says your home is worth 27,000 or 270,000. We're saying, here's what's sold in your neighborhood, just like I did for you yesterday in the
We
investor
didn't
meeting.
call it the price, the average.
We're not
just
calling
told
it- Yeah,
them
we're
this
not-
is what's happening.
Giving them a range.
We're not giving them a range, we're giving them neighborhood stats.
Yeah. So, and you can basically at that point just get rid of the page that gives the exact price, but you can just, it's just a way for them to kind of see what it looks like. And instead of getting that like flimsy MLS sheet that has like your name at the top and just a bunch of listings, it kind of organizes it and makes it look nice for you. Cool. Okay. So we have our presentation. Again, we can view it as a PDF as well. I'm not going to load it now because it'll take half an hour because there's 55 pages on here. If I wanted to, I can add pages as well. And then if you look here, add from library.
There's 171 pages.
Yeah, there's 335 pages that I can add. I mean, I think there's literally one that's like get ready for Lent or something like that.
Easter seals.
Yeah, Easter seals. Let's add Easter seals.
No, 355 pages.
That's what you get
I
to
actually went
choose
through
from.
them all.
If anybody thinks anybody's gonna
Our
look at
PR,
the
let's,
I did it.
355 pages.
Yes,
for a
sir.
customer?
like our resumes.
No,
or whatever.
not with a
A
customer.
year to get through it.
No, not with a customer. I did
Yeah.
it for my CMA because I wanted to see what they offered and.
You
see
can
what-
just hit create new and like add your own.
Does that
pages
make sense what
as well.
that is?
No, I understand what you're saying.
It's the
but
library
you're gonna
to choose
lose your
from.
audience with
No,
the
no,
3
it's-
seconds if you give them.
It's the library to choose from.
No, I got
It
it.
doesn't give you the option to make a 335 page CMA already. You have to pick individually out of those 335 pages what you get to pick from.
So, I mean, if you have, this is like, let's say you have someone with like, a disabled child, Easter seals, you can add it in, there's just so many different ways you can customize this, which Toolkit also has some of those features, of course, but there's just so many different ways with 355 pages. If you want to, go through all 355 of them, go ahead. But, these are just different ways to go through. All right. So that's kind of the CMA part. I also just want to go over that buyer presentation with you guys just because I think that's also useful for you to have. But now I have it here. I always have it saved. And the nice thing too is now what I can do, and I don't know what, I can add a co-presenter. And so I can find, and I don't know if everyone has this, so I might need to go in for you and do this. But if I look up Laura, I can add Laura. And then now basically if I go back into my presentation, instead of it just having my name on it, it'll say presentation ready, and we're going to go look. And it should be, for me it was at like, page 2 out of 2, but here it's on page, it's somewhere. Again, I have so many pages on here right now.
It adds Laura's picture and name to the bottom of the page. So if you guys are doing something together, or you two,
Yeah.
if you want both you and Mike's picture and name on the bottom,
13.
you have that ability to.
And so I did this one for James Bond as well. So if we look at a quick flyer, you can create a flyer that has pictures. There's a couple different templates. And then if we view our actual quick flyer here, it'll generate a PDF. And then you can see that I did this together with Karen Morton, and it'll show everything. And so this is also something that, you can print for open houses or for showings if you don't want to do that whole buyer presentation. And there's a couple different formats that you can choose from. Does that make sense for everyone? Yeah. Okay. Now, finally, we're going to create a new presentation because we're going to do a buyer tour because Rachel is interested in buying a new house in Inverness, Florida. So I'm going to prepare this for Rachel. And so again, we went through Matrix and she's like, I want a 2-2 in Inverness. And that's the only specification she gave me. So I'm just gonna look, continue, do my search. I want a 2. I don't want a 3-bed. I just want a 2. I want a 2 in Inverness. And the minimum price should be, I don't want that really bad stuff.
Apply. Say.
Thank you. I should probably learn to do that. Oh no, okay. So apply,
Apply. Okay.
and then I just hit Inverness, Florida, and then I hit search. So I gotta go, wow, now look at these 4 actives here that are available. I can click on it, and so now if I hit details here, I can actually look at it, and then I can go, oh yeah, this is kind of what Rachel said she wanted. This is exactly what I wanted. So I can add it, but then I go to this one, which is Emery Street, and I click on details, and I go, it loads, I go, oh no, she told me she hates white walls and gray roofs, so I'm not gonna do that one. But let's say she likes this one, so we have these 2, but let's just add them all for her sake. She wants to see these pendings to do backup offers. So now I'm gonna hit continue, and basically it's gonna do this tour order once it loads. And so now look, it'll tell us exactly where we are. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's a pretty good order. I don't think we have to change any of that. But if I really wanted to, I can hit the change order button, and I can say, you know what, let's actually do this one last. And, I want to start on this side of the county. I think I'm messing it up, but it's all right. We want to go for it's here. So 1, 2, go out this way, then 4 and 5. I mean, this isn't the most logical, but, if the buyer's like, I want to start on the east side of the county, now you have it. We're on the east side of the county. Just for logic reasons, you could probably do this.
Appointment times too.
Yep. And so save order. Yeah, and correct. Sometimes, you can't show a house before 1. So, and you can even put meeting times. So let's say we're putting these all, we can add a meeting time. So let's say we're meeting her tomorrow at 12 p.m. Then here we're going, and I'm not going to do all of these, but.
And then you can hit add custom listing to like add another one.
Yep.
That she finds or something. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. So if you have one in like Stellar or something like that, you can add that too. We'll see this one. Actually, this one's right next door, so we can do this one at 12:15 p.m. I'll just rush you through the house, and then you can just go through. And so now again, we have a presentation. I can view print it as a PDF. You can add or remove pages as you like. And the first time I'm going to go through here, I'm kind of showing you why I haven't changed anything, is because now if I'm showing this PDF, once it loads, and I'll show you why it takes so long to load. Is because we did not change anything.
359 pages.
Right. So, but the thing is, we only have like 11 pages. But the big thing is that when we actually load it in, we have 33 here because I didn't do anything to the amount of pictures that we're showing. So look, wow, we have our first listing. Beautiful. This is exactly what Rachel's looking for. She can put a star rating and notes, hand it back to me. And then now I know exactly what she's looking for. If she's like, this salmon is yucky, I know that now. I'm not going to look for salmon homes anymore. But now here's the issue is that I have all these pictures that are printing and printing and printing. I don't need all those pictures. The nice thing I can do now is if I go back to my presentation and I go to listing overview, I can hit the edit button and then it says the number of photos per listing. It says unlimited, and I'm going to change that to, I'm going to do 12. And so this is always a little finicky, but 12 is about the max amount that you can get on one page. So then we're going to change it to 12, and now we only have 1 page of pictures. You can also change it to 0 and do 0 pictures. So now if we view it, I'm sure it'll take forever to load again, but
Hopefully less time.
hopefully less time because we don't have, we probably eliminated about 8 or 9, probably even 10 pages or something like that.
While that's happening, Laura, did you do an actual appraisal on that home that Tom was working on? What did you come in at?
159, between 155 and 159.
Yeah.
Okay, he's at 200 with the guesstimations.
No, we're at 200.
I'm not criticizing, I'm just wondering if you've done it.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't a $200,000 mobile home.
No, but it's because we picked like two that were listed at like 230.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was one that was like 255.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
sold at. Yeah. Eh.
So we eliminated about 8 pages just by limiting the amount to 1 per page. And then when we print it again, it'll look something like this that we did. Cool. Any questions about this? I mean, I think the best way to learn, and of course come to us with a question, but the best way to learn is to just play with it a little bit. Of course, there are some times that you'll still need to fall back on the MLS. There are sometimes you'll still need to fall back on the property appraiser. We do have 1 or 2 issues where sometimes a listing doesn't show up. If you are having a really hard time finding like 4 comparables and 2 of them don't show up, you can put them in manually, or at that point you might say, let me use Toolkit for this one. But for the most part, this is, what we're working towards, and this is what we want to use because it's so much more integrated, because now you've done your CMA, you're all done with that. Then, from here we can create our flyer for our home. And then from there we can go into Impress and make our postcards for our home and our social media posts for our home. That's kind of what we're wanting to work towards slowly but surely. Because, this is a way to kind of
One-stop shop.
automate your business in a one-stop shop. And, and we don't need the circle picks anymore. We wouldn't need Toolkit anymore. We don't need Zap, all those different things that we had in the past. We're not going to need those anymore. All right.
Check the chat for any questions as well.
Yes.
Make sure we're not.
Is Deanna on the call?
Okay, so we're good. No questions. Anything else? You're writing something down. Something to check for you.
Backwards.
Like I said, we will do a whole adjustments class. So don't focus on any of the adjustments we had. I wrote CBS, CIA up there just for the newbies. I know it's kind of hard to read in orange. Comp, better, subtract, comp, inferior, add. So always look at your comparable. You're never adjusting your subject property. Your subject property is what it is. We're trying to find the value for that. You're always going to be adjusting your comparables. If it's better, you got to take money away to make it like your subject. If it's inferior, worse, you have to throw money at it to make it like your subject property. So CBS, CIA, comp, better, subtract, comp, inferior, add.
Yep. And so you said if you click on a house, it'll show you like the actual
Shows you
adjustments.
the adjustments,
Okay, so
not in that. Well, yeah, maybe.
So if I hit on like this one.
Right, let's see. See
Oh yeah.
adjustments.
So
That's nice because I like it better anyways.
Yeah.
I like it how
it will show it this way. And this is an actual full-blown CMA that I did that has actual pricing on it. And so it basically came out pretty much to the price I thought it would. So, again, the reason we're at 200,000 is because our comparables were just god awful. I mean, we had, 2 that were like 216,000, 260,000. So, but yeah, basically then you can show exactly on this, you can say, wow, look, this is the exact thing I did. You have, slightly more acreage, less square footage. Your garage is slightly bigger, but you have an outdoor kitchen as well, which causes these adjustments. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. Any other questions?
All right.
Yeah,
Will you do one of these with me after this meeting?
absolutely. Yeah.
When are you finished with the meeting?
Mhm.
Let me make one comment. Yesterday, we had our Deanna, she's not on the call, is she?
I don't think so.
Well, anyway. Guy from Israel is building some spec houses with us, and Deanna's been working with him for a year. Matthew is going to be the builder. This guy is a professor at University of Tel Aviv from Israel. He's a very learned man and had some very pointed questions for us. Wayne did an absolutely brilliant job of answering all those questions, and he has mastered these tools. For instance, he said, how many duplexes do we have for sale? How many are new? What is the price range? What is the square footage? He peppered Wayne, and I was amazed that Wayne was able to grab all this information from MLS. And where else did you get it? Was that it?
No, we went on 21. I mean, again, he was asking for, updates on, Deanna had listed 3 of their spec houses. 5 days ago. So again, what activity do we have on Zillow, Realtor, the work? So we hopped on 21 Online, went to Golden Ruler, showed him, hey, Zillow's given us this many hits, this many saves, this many favorites. Wanted to know average price per square footage for active new construction home in Citrus Springs. And then just so he could all see, I pulled pendings because again, he was looking at the amount of deals closed, and he was seeing it trending downward this month. So he was a little bit nervous at that point. So then I pulled up pending, and that kind of again lifted him back up because there was 52 pending new construction homes in Citrus Springs right now. So again, gives him a little reassurance people are still buying houses and whatnot. Again, if I had pulled that up and it said like 2 deals pending, I'd say now we might be in a little bit different situation.
Right. The case,
Exactly.
I needed to know that. This guy's a numbers man, and he was really impressed. He said after the meeting, he shook my hand and said, "Thank you for being here. You don't want to lose that guy." I said, "I got him tight. He's mine." But the whole point of the conversation is, this guy is a learned man. He's a very successful